Hi everybody, it's Christy here. For those of you that don't know, I am Fiona's daughter, and she asked me to speak to you briefly about some of the events that are going on in the world right now. And obviously for me, that is always going to mean that Israel is right at the top of that priority list. What we're seeing in terms of anti-Semitism is unrivaled in the modern world, other than when you look at the times leading up to World War II. Over half of any race or religious-based attacks that have occurred in the United States of America over the last year, more than half of them have been targeted at Jewish people. Jewish people only make up 2% of the United States population, but they accounted for over half of the attacks that were geared towards anything to do with racism, which is really horrifying. There's so much about it that's horrifying, from what occurred on October 7th, 2023, the way it's impacted people, the way it's impacted the culture. We see the terrifying line from when hatred moves from rhetoric to action. Just this past week, two beautiful young Jewish people were at the Israel Museum in Washington, D.C. They happened to be embassy staffers, meaning they worked at the embassy, but they were just there at an event. Actually, the event that they were at was trying to make sure that aid was sent in to help Palestinian children. And a born and raised American man who has been indoctrinated by this far leftist, radicalized Islamic ideology gunned down these two beautiful young people, killed them. When the woman tried to crawl away, he walked after her and he ended up shooting 21 bullets all in all. And what he was chanting was Free Palestine. And so the question that grips the devastated hearts of those of us who care is, how does gunning down two people outside of a Jewish museum in DC free anyone? How does gang raping a 12-year-old Jewish girl in London free anyone? How does killing babies free anyone? And Dietrich Bonhoeffer is the man that I have tattooed on my arm, and I actually have his book right here, one of his books, Cost of Discipleship, very heavy read. I've got his biography behind me. You know, he's somebody who stood up and resisted. And at a time in history that we look back on now and say the majority of people were found to be bystanders, when we look back and analyze the varying social groups and we analyze the demographics of the Germans, and not only the Germans, but even the rest of the world, the other Europeans and even the Americans to a big extent, when asked what was it that the majority of people did during World War II, the vast majority just watched. The vast majority were bystanders. And the slogan post-Holocaust has been never again. But what we're living in and what we're facing is that never again is now. Myself, I've seen it, posting things online, standing up for Jewish people. I've received a tremendous amount of hate. And you've got to ask yourself how it is that a group of humanity that makes up less than 1% of the world's total population is so ferociously hated. The answer is simple. We know that it's spiritual. The scriptures tell us that our battle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers and principalities. It's against forces of darkness. And so I'm not standing here today bashing on anybody, saying, you know, all Muslims are evil, not at all. Am I saying that extremist Islamic ideology, whose goal is to subjugate, dominate, and ultimately eradicate, do I say that that is evil? Yes, I do believe that is evil. I do believe that that is something demonic that is taking place. And I do believe that it is our job in this life to stand up to that and to say something. We look back and, you know, there's certain names that will stick out to us, whether it's Martin Niemöller, whether it's Dietrich Bonhoeffer. You know, there's a couple of different people during the Holocaust times that stood up and resisted. There's other people like Corrie ten Boom who made the choice to give up her safety to save Jews. And I can tell you this as somebody who was a Holocaust to a memorial museum guide who took when I was still in South Africa, I would take high school kids through the Durban Jewish Center's Holocaust Memorial Museum and talk about the dangers of totalitarianism. And they would always say, oh, but that can't happen again now. And at the time when I was doing those tours, I thought, I don't think it can, but it is happening. The hatred that we're seeing towards Jews is at the same levels, if not worse in some cases, as pre-World War II, which means from 1933 leading up to 1939 when we look at what happened. Whether it was Kristallnacht in 1938 or when Germany actually invaded Poland on the 1st of September 1939, Jewish businesses were being destroyed. Jewish people were being beaten up in the streets. People were being afraid to show that they were Jewish in their identity. Israel just issued a warning for Jews traveling to Canada, a level 2 warning saying, be careful, Jewish people are being attacked in Canada. They're warning, don't wear anything that's going to show that you're Jewish. How in the hell have we got here that in 2025, the Holocaust was not even 100 years ago, and we're sitting here yet again dealing with the rape of Jewish women and the murder of Jewish babies being called justified, and pseudo-activism. I call it that because it's not real. It's hatred and annihilation under the cloak and banner of pseudo-activism. And so I ask you today, wherever it is that you're watching from, I know it's a little bit of a heavier topic, but it feels heavy on my heart, knowing that my friends to this day are running for their lives in Israel when the sirens go off. And I feel a very quiet rage towards the ideology that is spread everywhere, whether it's on American campuses or throughout the Canadian government, or whether you look throughout Europe or even in South Africa. South Africa is a hotbed of anti-Semitism. What do we do in these times? Well, as was famously said in Holocaust times, not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. And so I ask you today, will you speak? Will you act? And I ask this of myself. I took it a step further. My friends call this my Jew arm. I have the Star of David tattooed. I've got the poster of Schindler's List. I've got the Shema Yisrael prayer, which is Hear, O Israel, the Lord your God is one, tattooed in Hebrew on my arm. I've got a picture of the Galilee photograph that I took that's been tattooed. I've got Dietrich Bonhoeffer right over here. I've got the coordinates to the Wailing Wall over here and a little Magen David over there. And there's more things that will be added to the Jew arm in time. But most people think I'm Jewish and I'm not. I'm just somebody who's completely determined to find myself on the right side of history. I didn't think that I would be somebody who faced the reality and horror of anti-Semitism the way Dietrich Bonhoeffer did, or the way Martin Niemöller did, or the way any of the heroes of the Holocaust did, the way Oskar Schindler did. But we're here and we're facing it now. The only difference is now people can see it. And the frightening part about that is that the hatred can be spread just as easily as the truth can. And so I'm encouraging you, if people say things that are anti-Semitic, don't let it slide. Say something. Let us be those that speak. Let us be those that act. Let us be those who, when God looks down upon the earth, he finds us as people that are determined to be on the right side of history. I don't know what it's going to cost everybody. I don't know what it's going to cost me, but I'm okay with that. God forbid that I would find myself in a group of humanity, as so many did, labeled bystander. If we don't stand up for the apple of God's eye, there isn't really the hugest point to much of this. So I know today's probably sounded a little somber. I feel somber. And so as you go out this week, I'm encouraging you to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for the protection of Jews around the world. Pray for the Israeli soldiers. And pray that God's will would be done, that his kingdom would come on earth as it is in heaven. And pray that he would give us all eyes to see, ears to hear, and mouths to speak. God bless you, and I will chat to you very soon.